What is up, guys? Again, NotTheWorst here, bringing another Black Desert online video, and today we're taking a little revisit to Darkseeker's Retreat. We had a recent update to it. It wasn't completely massive, but it did change the amount of money that you're getting here. Trashly got altered if you maximize it. It's a new event spawn that was added to the previous event spawn that occurs here, which actually made it pretty nice and a great way to burn off some Agris, and in some scenarios it's going to be just better burn for your Agris than Highlands, depending on the gear. So we will take a look and see how to utilize that. So let's get into the silver breakdown and go ahead and see. If you didn't see, I just recently did a video on Darkseeker's Retreat, kind of busting some myths on it. People think it just completely sucks across the board, and this is only true at certain gear levels. You do get to a certain point where it's strictly better than Highlands. If you didn't check out that video, I'm linking that one in the description, where it gets into a lot of the specifics of how to get set up and where you want to be gear-wise. This new event that got introduced does accentuate that even a little bit further, kind of depending where you're at. There are some caveats with that to be included, like class variance, for instance, is always going to play some sort of a part in how it performs for you. So first thing to cover, speaking about class variants here, is like the gear requirements, where you really start to see this kind of pay off more so than, say, Highlands. Number one, if you're looking for Embers, it's just strictly better for Ember drop rates. This is boosted by the new mechanic, which we'll cover shortly, that exists here. So you may have some anecdotal evidence, or, oh, I dropped 3 Embers at Highlands one time, whatever. This place at a high level is doing 5 to 6 Embers an hour, which Highlands absolutely doesn't. After the new mechanic was introduced, you have a lot more mobs per hour being killed. And they had to reduce the seal drop rate to compensate for that, because it would have just been strictly higher than every other place in the game, because you have so many mobs being killed with that new mechanic. Depending on the class, it's going to be somewhere around that 1,000 AP, maybe 1,030 total AP. It's pretty high up there to start to see this kind of taper off and just be flat out better at everything than Highlands, other than just the Embers, which it's already just better at for it, unless you're super slow. So that means if your total AP number is significantly lower than that, or maybe for some classes they have different self buffs, or just the way they operate, it might not quite reach that, then you may actually find that you're better at Highlands. Obviously, Highlands is a much more chill grind when you're comparing the two. They just are very heavily compared, since both drop artifacts, flames, and embers and whatnot, so that you kind of see the same thing, and they're both Agris efficient. You may just like the AFK phases that are there. The reason you see this disparity and why the higher gear matters versus lower gear at this spot, and why you hear a lot of players complain about how bad this spot is, and that's simply because, let's say you have a guy that has 1050 AP versus a guy that has 950 AP, and they both go to Darkseeker's Retreat. Well, there's a huge AP difference here, right? We've got a whole 100 AP difference. That's insanely massive as far as the performance. The 1050 AP guy is going to shred at DSR, and the 950 AP guy is going to say, I don't even know why I'm wasting take those same two people and you go to a place like Highlands that has an actual AFK phase where you're just standing around, what's going to happen here is the disparity between that 1050 AP and 950 AP seems a lot narrower all of a sudden. Why? Because you're not AFK killing anything any faster when you're 1050 AP than you are 950 AP. So you have these segments during your grind where you're grinding just as quickly as everybody else that goes there, and that kind of gives you the idea that this place is just better, when truthfully it's that it just requires more gear. You don't have any AFK getting carried phases. So getting set up to actually have this place perform, you want to maximize back attack. As you can see in the clips playing and whatnot, that back attack's kind of like everything for this. So you want to have the watch your back set up if you can get that. That's going to be 2 Shadow Stones and 2 Rages into your artifacts. You want to be running Deep Sea Elixir for some bonus damage there, and the Mysterious Darkness Crystals rather than your Corrupted Crystals. And then obviously I would recommend maximizing your add-ons for your class to make sure that it actually makes sense for you. So let's kind of show what the new mechanic looks like, how you want to be using it, and then we'll take a look at what the impact on the trash per hour is. So what you're going to see is, you get this little tide of dark energy begins to flood the area notification. This spawns it somewhat frequently. It had anywhere, I think on the low end, like 3 or 4 an hour. I don't know that I ever had 0, and on the upper end, like 8+ of these. And they're just really good. So the way you want to do this is it's going to spawn waves of mobs, as you see, and this goes on for a very long time. It is wave variable, not distance variable, or like like it despawns or anything. So you can leave these. So what you're going to see us do here is we're going to farm them up to get our Black Spirit Rage to maximum here. And then once we get that, we want to go back to our full rotation once we've got our full Black Spirit Rage. There's 2 reasons we want to leave the event and continue to do that. Number one, because that means once we get our BSR up here, we're now going to have this up 100% of the time that this event is here, right? So we have our BSR, we're just going to go back to our rotation. Number two, what you will have seen there is that the mobs, the regular mobs for that rotation also just spawned as well. And when they die, they'll explode. And if they do it the way you want to, because it's not 100%, if they explode the way they want to, they'll destroy all of the mobs within that wave from the event spawn as well. So they just kind of instantly die there. This keeps your Black Spirit Rage up very quickly for you. So you maintain it 100% of the time, and it also clears those waves very, very quickly. So you're really going to be maximizing your trash as you just blow through all the normal ones, get the regular packs to respawn. You can see they just respawned in the distance there. And then go in and then kill these. Now, it doesn't always line up 100% so that the explosion works properly, which is super annoying. But you can see when it does, it's great. It clears the whole pack. And now your only concern, we have our full Black Spirit Rage instantly. Your only concern is you can see some manual looting because there's so many mobs that you want to make sure you loot all of them. That is going to be what slows you down here, is making sure you get all your trash loot. Obviously, when your issue is getting all of your trash loot, it's a very, very good problem to have because you're getting a ton of it. So yeah, that's how it's going to work. These will stay up roughly if you're rotating it, depending on how fast you're going through your regular rotations for it. It's going to be around 3 to 5 minutes. You're going to see this thing there. It is based on the number of waves that you clear. So over time, you're going to, the faster you are, the less that it's going to be there. That's why I kind of give you that window for it. If you do just stand there and clear all of the waves one at a time, you're not killing the extra packs with it. So you're not getting like the auto kill with the waves, and you'll see a significant decrease, not just your trash loot, but also your overall drops. Keep in mind, higher trash loot means higher drops, right? The more mobs you kill, the more chances you have for more drops. This is why you see a lot of variance in rare drops when you have lower trash loot. It's not all just about the trash. Mobs per hour is your biggest indicator of how well you're performing. So that's all you want to be doing, just rotating that. Going around and farming your BSR to keep that up 100% of the time. So you're just blowing through this place really quickly, and it's super, super nice that way. Keep in mind, the old event does still spawn as well. The one that has the chance to spawn the boss event there that gives you a guaranteed Cowboys fragment if he spawns. That one still exists, and you're going to treat that one the same way, just killing each wave in line with each of the regular packs that spawn there. That one obviously doesn't have nearly as many extra mobs or as many waves as this one, but it is still there, and you can still make sure you maximize it by skipping it around and doing your whole rotation, since you don't have to worry about anything despawning on you, and that includes the boss as well. The boss won't despawn if you go around in a circle and finish your rotation normally. So with that covered, let's jump on into the spreadsheets and see how the money broke down for us. Okay, so a couple of things I want to point out before we just dive into it. Obviously, we can see the average at 3.2 billion, which is wildly high. This is obviously because we did have an artifact drop in the 10 hours that I logged for here, so it is in the spreadsheet, but for kind of going over the stats, I want to remove that because obviously that's just like a super lucky drop, and it skews that average a lot from it. Now, the other thing is this was done between 260 and 280 drop rate, just depending on events and green buffs and whatnot that were happening at the time. So in that range, and all of these hours are done with Agris. So these trash loot number is with Agris. Personally, my gear is completely maxed. At the time, I had 2 Tungrad rings. I now have 2 pen Debo rings, but everything else is full pen all the way around. Everything maxed out that you could have from a PvE standpoint, so keep that in mind too. I wouldn't expect someone to go in with like a set of Tet Debas around and be cracking into the 27,000 trash loot, even with Agris. So that being said, the other thing before we get in is the price of embers. Okay, you may want to look at 2 ways. It's going to be very server specific, and the same with fragments, right? So if we don't want to just value an ember at 100 mil each, which means a flame is not worth only 10 bill each. Of course, you can sell them for that, and they just go right away. However, doing that is going to be a bad idea for your money making, because at least at the time that this was done on the NA servers, they were worth about double that by making it into an actual Ator's boot. So you could buy the boots off of the marketplace and the cappers at the time. I think cappers are now on the rise, but this was done when this first came out. And the boot pricing at that time, you could still profit about 20 bill before tax by getting a flame and then doing it. So if you did want to factor those, same with the artifacts, these are factored in that you're actually creating the artifacts and selling them that way. on NA's prices. So if you wanted them without, you could bring it into just your standard for whatever reason you decided to just sell them outright and just have less money. You can totally do that, and you can see we're going to lose a significant amount of money coming in doing that at about 500 mil per hour on the total average. So totally up to you if you want to rate it that way and not sell them out as a flame, but you were definitely leaving money on the table. It's understandable if you're just going there to burn your agris, so you're not going to have all of the embers in order to make the flame for a long time. Totally get it. So you may want to look at valuing it that way, but otherwise you're just leaving money on the table. So as far as the numbers on it, we can see I did 27K, a little over 27K was at most. Obviously we have some variables with making sure the mobs explode the way I want them to. And then of course having additional events spawn so that my BSR is up 100% of the time has a huge impact there. We had a swing anywhere between 24 to 27,000 trash load. Just to note, I believe in the previous video prior to this event, my best ever was 24K. So my best before the new event is now my worst during the event, all with agris, of course. Came out with an average of about 26K, which makes sense with the variance we get from the the different event spawns on it. I did drop one artifact. To note, I dropped no seals in this, so I know you don't see them on the chart, but the Debo ring seals, I didn't drop any in the first 10 hours there. In fact, it took me a very long time before I started dropping any at any of the grind zones when they first came out. I think my first one dropped 43 hours in, and then I've dropped plenty since then. Obviously, I now have 2 pen Debo rings, but yeah, that was definitely an adventure. As far as overall money, my highest peak being 3.2 billion, and of course that was in one of the hours where we hit 27,000 trash loot, and then my lowest being around 2.4 in that ballpark there. So it's an insanely good money. Again, depending on how you're going to value the flames, we'll have some confluence in that, but like 2.2 bill is what we see high end, like Tungrad Ruins when the origins are selling well, or Cyclops if the Dawn earrings are sitting on market, which NA's had good luck with. I know other servers, they're not quite as valuable, so it's definitely competition there. It's just that you do need the agris. I don't think it's worth your time if you don't have agris on there, but it's a great option to burn agris if you have the gear to do it. Otherwise, you may find that Highlands just performs better for you depending on the class and the total AP that you're working with. But yeah, just getting those extra bonuses dropping here and there, artifacts or flames or whatever, is just a huge extra gain out of nowhere. So definitely worth trying out, especially if you're able to just keep your BSR up the whole time when you spawn those events. It's pretty easy mode, and it's a lot of money. But yeah, in total conclusion, wouldn't bother if you don't have agris. And if you do and you don't want to do the AFK grind at Highlands, then this is probably your best bet in burning that agris off, since it competes with other non-agris spots, and a lot of this is just coming out of the trash loot. You're talking a bill to a bill 0.3 in trash loot alone, which is great. So there you have it for this one. Let me know what you guys think about this spot in the comments down below. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you get notifications when new videos go live. And if you'd like to catch me playing live, I grind these hours on stream when I do these videos, so you can check them all out there. If you want to, then drop a follow on the Twitch page. There's a link in the description down below. That's going to be it for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.